Hello everyone, I am doing my second ever Q&A. When I posted on Facebook and Instagram asking whether I should do a Facebook Live or do this as a YouTube video, the general consensus was to do it as a YouTube video. So that is what I'm doing this morning. I don't have a whole lot of questions, but I do have some ones that are going to need longer answers to really get in depth explaining them. So yeah, it's gonna work out perfect. I'll start off, I just have them written down here in random order, and I'll start with the first one. What made me get into Mustangs? Was it specifically Rendon, or was there something else that contributed to that? I would say I was interested in Mustangs for a couple years before I got Rendon, who was the first Mustang I got. My sister had gotten a Mustang already at that point, and I had been watching various YouTube videos and training videos where people did work with Mustangs, and specifically watching Extreme Mustang Makeover transformation videos. I just fell in love with that process, and I had been wanting to do that for several years before I got the opportunity to do that. In 2022 was when I picked up Rendon. He was my first Mustang to work with. He was just about 8 or 9 months old, and that experience of training him, I just fell in love with it. Being able to take a horse from completely wild and terrified of people to absolutely loving attention and wanting to be around people was just something so special. The following year I got my first adult Mustang. That was Rocket. He's since gone to an amazing home where he's being a great horse for them, and that was really when I poured time and energy into learning how to train Mustangs, how to start a horse under saddle. I took an entire year pretty much just dedicated to learning and training him, and so he got everything, and that really, spending so much time doing that, really solidified my passion for Mustangs. And then the following year was when I competed in an Extreme Mustang Makeover as an adult. I got a pretty tough horse for that one, but we're able to do it. And since then I've just gotten more Mustangs and have continued to absolutely love it, and it's what I plan on keep doing for years. Alrighty, next question. What size round pin to start with getting a wild Mustang? For me personally, I don't love having a huge round pin. Part of that is because when you have a big round pin, they're going to move around more, and you're going to have to make sure you have good footing. Whereas if you can start with a smaller one, you can do a little bit more without them having to move as much, in my opinion. You also can get them used to being touched using a whip as an extension of your arm, etc. And that's going to be easier in a smaller round pin where they're not getting incorrect releases, if that makes sense. So right now my Mustang gentling pins, where they start off, are about, I would say, 30 to 40 foot across. Right now they're probably all on the 30-foot size. I do have them smaller than I would prefer right now, but I got some more in, and then I have a mare who has to be on stall rest. So I had to do some rearranging to make more space in the barn, and so they are a little on the smaller side right now. Ideally, I would want them about the equivalent of a 40-foot round pin, but 30 works good. You can make good progress with that, and you can do a lot with a bigger round pin as well, but to start you can have a smaller one. When it comes to training them and starting them under saddle, I do want to have a 50+ foot round pin, just that way they can really get their feet under them, get used to moving out. That will help them with their confidence of balancing with a person. And again, I've started several horses under saddle in a 40-foot round pin, but there are a lot of benefits to having a bigger round pin for riding, starting them under saddle, and then a smaller pin for the gentling process. So hopefully that answers that question. What are key training things that makes it easier for a Mustang to be rehomed? I would say there are two main things that are what's going to help you find a new home for your Mustang. The first one is going to be having them started under saddle. People who are really interested in getting a Mustang are typically wanting one that is already started versus one that is just gentled. You can find a home for a gentled one, but in my experience, that takes longer. You kind of have to be really looking for someone looking for that specific Mustang. But I mean, it's definitely possible. And the other thing that has a huge effect on it, especially where I am, is whether or not they are sale authority or titled. Having to reassign a Mustang where I'm at really puts a damper on who's interested, just because I live in the middle of nowhere. So people who are interested in the horse, they can't pick up until they've been reassigned to them, which means they're either having to make 2 trips, so they're not buying the horse sight unseen, or if they aren't able to make those 2 trips, they're having to come pick up the horse after they've committed to buying it. And in the horse world, that's just not something a lot of people like to do, which is why I do post so much on social media, so that people can be more confident about the horse they're getting, see what they've struggled with, etc. And so they are confident about the horse whenever they come pick them up. But I also try to get the sale authority horses, just because there's not a lot of people around me who have the facilities, etc., to work with a horse that still has to meet BLM fencing requirements, etc. Alrighty. And then kind of off of that, what state am I located in? I am in a little tiny town in Arkansas. There's like nothing around me. Our town has a population of 420 people. And yeah, so we're a pretty central area in the United States, but we're also like around nobody, which makes it, I mean, there's always benefits of that. I absolutely love where we live. It's the most amazing property ever, and we're about to be doing a lot of updates to it that will make it even better. So yeah, but that leans into the hard to reassign a horse thing. We are pretty much in the middle of nowhere. Alrighty, how does it work getting a Mustang from me? So the horses I have, most of the horses I train do become available. I just have a few personal horses. And how that works is pretty much a first come, first serve basis. So if they are not for a training competition, whenever I feel like the horse is ready to find a new home, I will post them on my Facebook page. Or if there's somebody who has been interested from the start when I got this horse and reached out to me early, I may, depending on the circumstance, reach out, let them know, hey, I'm about to post this horse for sale. You mentioned you were interested in it. Do you want the horse? Can you commit to getting it soon? There are instances when I will offer that, but most of the time I will post the horse on Facebook, and then whoever can commit to getting the horse first is who's going to get it. If they are still needing to be reassigned through the government, then somebody who starts the reassignment process and gets that done, that's going to be the person who can get the horse. They don't have to actually pick up the horse because we'll have to go through the government process. But if they're sale authority or titled, it's going to be who can come get the horse from me first. If they are for a training competition, like I've got several right now who I'm training for the branded Bonanza. How that works is the horse will not be available until after the competition. And then somebody who can get them from the competition is going to have preference. I'm not going to hold the horse for somebody at home unless they can absolutely commit to picking the horse up from my house soon after the competition. But then after the competition, if the horse doesn't find a home there, I'll bring them home and they will immediately be available for whoever can come get them. If I have a horse, however, that you are extremely interested in, if you reach out to me early on, you follow their training, you ask me questions, etc., to the point where I feel like you're going to be a perfect match for this horse, when the time comes for the horse to be available, I can reach out to you first and give you a day or so to decide if you want to commit to getting that horse. And if you get back to me soon, we can do it that way. If not, the horse is going to be available to anyone. And there's no like commitments with that. I really would have to feel like that's the home the horse is supposed to go to. But if you are really interested, definitely reach out early on so that I can see if I think it's going to be a good match. Because ultimately that's my goal with training these horses. I want to find the perfect home for the horse. And so the more I can know about their future owner, have seen that they've really looked into what this horse is going through, what they're good with, what they struggle with, etc., the more I feel confident that it's the perfect home for them, the more I'm willing to work with their new owner. Alrighty. Will I offer training for Mustangs that a new owner picks from an adoption event or online auction, etc.? That is something I am hoping to offer in the future. We're about to get started building a new facility here at our property where I'll have much more space to take on more horses. Right now, with the horses I have, I'm pretty much at full capacity. But with the new facilities we'll be building, we're going to have an indoor riding arena, multiple round pens, dedicated Mustang gentling pens, an outdoor arena, etc. And so when that happens, I will most likely be able to offer gentling. How that would work is if you find a horse you like, you'll need to get with me ahead of time. And then either, if I have the space, either you'll pick up that horse and bring it to me, or if I have a horse I'm getting from the same adoption event, etc., I may be able to offer transport as well. That's just going to be a case-by-case thing. And then I will just charge a monthly training fee. You would have to commit to at least 1 month of training, but after that, you can decide how long it is. And yeah, so it would just be like gentling for another horse. There'll be a set charge, and then I'll provide hay and water and board, as well as training for that horse. Another question was, will I be able to offer shipping? Because of how busy I am, I typically cannot haul for other people. If you're within a couple hours of me, I can potentially do that depending on my schedule at that point. Or if I'm going to a horse training competition, etc., and you're along the route, or if I'm competing there, I can offer transport back to my home if it's closer for you to pick up from there. But other than that, I typically can't offer transport. I do know of a few people I can put someone in contact with, but I'm just kind of too busy to just be traipsing all over the country. Alright, how to calm down a high energy horse so you don't have to lunge before riding. This for me is something that I strongly feel about to a degree. I really, with how tight my schedule is and working with horses, I don't want to have a horse that I have to do a whole bunch of groundwork before I can get on them just to feel safe. I expect my horse, even if they are amped up a little, to be able to focus on me and listen. Even if I take them out of the pasture after being out of work for a month, whatever, I can put a saddle on, I can get on and know that they're going to be safe and dependable. So for me, that really starts in the groundwork from the beginning. That is why I do a lot of training that emphasizes the standing still, the relaxing, the focus on me. Some of those things that I do is teaching them to put their head down, teaching them to back up smoothly and slowly, teaching them head around on the ground and those body movements like hindquarter yields, shoulder yields, flexion, etc. I get those really good on the ground, and then once I'm under saddle, I do those exact same things to really get them focused on me and make sure they know how to slow down and focus. When you're dealing with a horse that is that way and may have those issues already, there's a few things you can do. One, teach those things on the ground first. Make sure your horse can stand calmly beside you for several minutes without dancing around, getting distracted, etc. Teach them to put their head down and keep their head down for several seconds. That is really a good trick for teaching your horse to focus on you and to relax. When the horse's head is down, it puts their brain in a relaxed mode. So if you teach your horse to relax and put their head down and keep their head down, then when they are amped up, you can kind of get their brain back into being relaxed by just asking for that head down if you have it trained into them good. And then I do a lot of loose rein, expecting them to have control of their own body. So I will ask them to walk on a loose rein, and if they speed up, do the wrong thing, etc., I will hindquarter yield them in a circle until they can be soft and relaxed off of any pressure, and then I will release them and ask them to do it again, and really just slow it down, get their brain back on me, etc., because I don't want to have a horse that I have to lunge and tire them out essentially before I can ride them. And I mean, some people have no problem doing that. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but for me and my schedule and how I train and everything, that's just not something I like. And if that doesn't answer your question, you can reach out with more specific questions, and I'd be happy to answer those. All right, and this is from the same person. How to get one to stand while being mounted. The horse was having issues with just kind of dancing around instead of letting them stand. And this is where there's a couple things you can do. One thing I do is I teach my horses to line up to a fence. This gives them the opportunity to really understand that moving around isn't what I'm asking for. I want them to stand calmly next to the fence, because that is where the release of pressure and the relaxation is. Horses are motivated by standing still. So they want to conserve their energy, especially Mustangs. Running around and burning extra energy is setting them up for failure per se. Being in the wild, a horse that doesn't know how to relax and stand still and take advantage of that isn't going to be able to have the energy to run when they need to. So by teaching them to relax and stand still as a motivation is how you're going to be able to get them to focus and calm down. So teaching them to line up to the fence, where you can motivate them by having them move some, and then finding their relaxation and their rest by standing calmly next to you on the fence, is a really good thing to teach. I do that with my Mustangs before I get on them. The other thing you can work on is when you go to get on from the ground. One, do a lot of just desensitizing and stuff by jumping up and down next to them. And if they move, let them move, keep them moving. Let them realize that they find a place of relaxation and release by standing still. And just keep doing that until you can be absolutely crazy next to them and they'll just stand patiently. Other thing you can do is when you're next to them, if they start moving, motivate them to stand still by backing them up. And you want to increase their motivation by the first time you back them up only 3 or 4 steps, and then give them the chance to stand still and relax. If they start moving again, back them up like 8 steps the next time. And then keep increasing the distance and the speed of backing up until they're looking for the relaxing and the release of just being able to stand still. And once they can do that, go ahead and pet them, or let them lick and chew, and understand that that's what you're going for. Being consistent and not letting your emotions get involved is really going to be the key with that. And most horses really quickly learn what you're looking for and know how to stand. So those are my tips for that one. Alrighty, how to get the halter on a hard/flighty Mustang. A little bit more in depth, this person said that they can slide the halter on the horse's nose from in front of them, but as soon as they try to do it from the side, the horse is freaking out and leaving them. You can do this a few ways. If the horse has already learned that running off and whatever gets them a release, then I would suggest getting the halter on, and I can explain how to do that. And then once you have the halter on, taking a second halter and really get them used to it doing it that way gives you a little bit more control, per se, of the situation. That way they don't learn that running off and whatever gets them a release of pressure. If you can prevent that from happening in the first place, then you can make, you don't have to do it this way, but once they've kind of learned that, then getting the halter on to the point where they don't get that release, and then taking a second halter and just putting it on over and over and over again on top of the first one is definitely one of the best ways to work through that. But if they haven't gotten to that point, you can just get them used to the halter without being super gentle, per se. So instead of just slowly petting them with the halter, go ahead and get them used to it. Just like tossing it up and petting them with it, tossing it over their neck, really rubbing it all over them, and just make it to the point where the halter moving around and touching them everywhere isn't a big deal. Do the same thing with your hand. Instead of necessarily slowly moving to a new place, go ahead and just reach your hand up quicker. Pet them all over. If you can, get them used to you hugging them around their neck. Just make it such not a big deal for them to be touched and patted on all over. That way, when you go to slide the halter on, it's just no big deal to them. And don't skip steps of where you touch them. So if you can pet the front of their nose and slide the halter on, but as soon as your hand goes up near the side of their face, they freak out, go ahead and back up a little, pet them on their nose, and before you try to introduce the halter, sliding it up their nose, pet them on the side of their face. Make sure they're good with that. Make sure there's nowhere that they are dreading you nearby. Just get them really comfortable, because if they are kind of watching out for you to get near somewhere that they're not comfortable with, they're going to be a whole lot more on edge and not able to relax with the new things you're doing, and won't be able to process them as well. So that's definitely a huge thing that'll help building their confidence. And when it comes to getting the halter on, if they've already kind of learned to dodge it, there's a few ways you can do that to the point where you just get the halter on and then can retrain them afterwards. One of my best tricks to getting a halter on, I've had to do this with a couple horses, either previous training or whatever, is you can take like a long lunge whip, one that you can reach the horse like wherever they are on the pin with at least the string, and you can just toss the whip string up over their neck and let them get used to carrying that and being fine with it, and then you can start petting it, let them get used to that moving around, but in such a way that even when they move, it's still on them. A lot of times that'll help them just process that it's not scary, it's not hurting them. And then from there, once they're good with that and you can move that around on them, you can then tie the halter onto the end of the whip and just get them used to that swinging up over their head, etc. And then from there, once they're good with that, if the horse is still not letting you get beside them, if you toss the halter up over their neck, you can stand in front of them and then be able to get your hand back in such a way where you can tie it. I don't know if you can really see it, but in one of my lives with the Mustang I'm working with currently, I kind of do that because she was more comfortable with me in front of her face. And so I just stand in front of her and I slide my hand up alongside her face and I reach up and tie it. And it's okay to have to do that at the first. You don't want them to continue to need you to do that to be comfortable. But if they've already kind of learned to dodge, etc., then you can do those to help work them through that. So hopefully that answers that question as well. That's all the questions I have for today. If you've got any other questions, you can definitely leave them on my Facebook page or down underneath this video, and I will definitely do this again. I really am happy to help with any questions anybody may have, whether that's training questions or really anything else. Definitely reach out anytime, and I would be happy to encourage, help, etc. I want to show that Mustang training, horse training, isn't all the wins and the highlights, etc. I try to keep it very real on my page. So if you're going through something that's hard, you feel like you're not making progress, all of us face that at some time, and just keeping going. I hope you enjoyed watching this. Like and subscribe to see more. Leave me any questions you may have in the comments, and I will see y'all next time.